What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first episode, the dry run, the pilot of this week's catch. I'm here with Coach. My name is John. Grab your beers. Let's all have a cheers to each other. And Coach, take us through what the conditions are for this week. It's going to be.
Well, we're going to start off. This is Temp Break, tempbreak.com. We're going to take a look up here, and this is going to be kind of centered north of the other stuff that I do, just so there's less conflict, but we'll cover some of that too. But as you can see, cold water has moved onto the Southern California bight. You can see this big darker area of 60, 59 degree, probably 59 to 60 degree water right here south of Point Doom. So what this is going to do, it's going to slow down all that surface fishing. It's going to push anything that's on patties. Traditionally, 61 or 62 is the magical number. And today's 3-day composite SST, you can see that the blue line here is about 63 degrees. So for those of you who are out here hunting patty yellows or, lingering opa or whatever in our local water, if you're going to do it soon. Looks like water colder than 60 is moving up on you quick. So out here by Hidden Reef and Santa Monica Buoy, temperatures are starting to plummet. For those guys who have been heading out of San Diego on the longer than overnight boats, Tanner Cortez still in that nice yellow area here. So we'll see how that goes. To the south, it's basically 1.5 day and longer boats now getting into the tuna out of San Diego. And you'll see that as winter drags on, it'll be the 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5 days that start really getting into them as that warmer water retreats farther south down into their range. But this isn't all bad news. With the colder water, we probably have some good surf perch coming into our local waters here on the lower end of Central California. We have a cloud-free SST we're going to look at for Central California in a minute. But here in SoCal, news is good for those winter panfish fishermen. John was just telling me he saw some really nice opali the last time he dove from shore. So
Yeah, so I go out in between Point Doom and Harrison Reef right at the top near Malibu or in Malibu. And yeah, every time I go diving, I've seen some pretty chunker zebras and opalis. I feel like nobody targets the opalis, so they're always there, and they're relatively close to shore. A lot closer than you would think they would be. They're out there.
Well, just to put it in perspective for you, John, my last 3 or 4 opali over 4 pounds have all been within 10 feet of the shoreline. So
yeah,
it might tell you something about their habits.
Absolutely. I've also been seeing still a lot of Corbina there.
That's pretty amazing this late.
Yeah, I saw one that was at least had to have been 20 plus inches. I was like, wow, this is a big one and really close to shore.
And for anyone who doesn't know, yes, opali and zebras are good eating. They're two of my favorite fish to catch from shore, especially during the winter when the big ones come in. I'll see if I can talk John into coming down here when the bite's good, and we'll do a catch and cook opali.
Yeah, well, I've eaten opali. I've heard nothing but bad things about the zebra. So you're saying the zebra is actually good?
One of my favorites done properly.
What do you do? How do you like to cook it? Like, what's the best? Just fry it?
One of the most important things to do with zebra perch or a big half moon, if you catch them, is you got to bleed them right away. It makes a huge difference in the quality of the flesh when it's done.
Okay, so standard Spiro technique, brain and bleed right away.
I've heard guys, and I'm of kind of two minds about it, but when you brain a fish, it stills the heart and keeps the heart from pumping the rest of the blood out of the body cavity. I don't know. I'm old
bleed
school.
And brain him.
I'm old school. I disrupt the bloodline at the spine. So
gotcha.
Either way, I bleed him into the body cavity and he's dead anyway. So it's super humane the way I go about it, but neither here nor there.
Gotcha.
But yes, I have thoroughly enjoyed quite a few zebras in my time.
Okay, okay. I'll have to give it a shot then, because I see them all the time. They're always schooled up, and they always run right along the shore, and then go hang out with the opal eyes. So I'll have to take one.
Well, you have two different families at work there. The opal eye. Oh my. Okay, so they're both in the greater sea chub group, right?
Okay.
So along with half moon, and depending on who you ask, Sargo. Although to me, Sargo is a true grunt. That's a different question. But anyway, so they're both sea chubs. Opalide belong to a subgroup called the Nibblers. You can't make it up, dude. I promise you, it's actually true. Go look it up. They actually belong to the Nibbler family.
Did you name them yourself? What is this?
No, this was long before my time, John. I promise. I have to agree, though. It might be the most aptly named group of fish of all time, for sure. The Nibblers.
I can see that.
But a lot like opal eye, you know, I've heard a lot of people talk about opal eye as being poop eaters and blah, 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 whatever. But I mean, really, what do you think about opal eye? Give me your honest opinion about eating an opal eye. If you cut them up and get them in the frying pan fairly quick, how is it?
See, I haven't done it right, honestly. I've tried a bunch of different methods. I've dry aged it. I've had it as poke. I thought raw as sashimi and poke. I thought it's a little bit tougher of a meat than, like, say, a regular perch. They definitely has a flavor. Like, there's other, like I say, a white perch. Even a white perch has a flavor. Maybe a black perch is kind of just not a lot of anything. But an opal eye, you can definitely tell you're eating a piece of fish. But then again, like I'm saying, I think fried would probably be the best way. I've blowtorched it as a sashimi, and I thought it was better. But honestly, if you suck in the kitchen, you're gonna suck. It's gonna suck eating them. So that's me right now. I'm trying to get better at it, but now I have not found the ways of the perfect opal eye. But I know another guy who made a channel on YouTube, and he calls himself Opal Eye, and they take home limits all the time. It's their favorite fish, so it can't be bad, when done right.
I mean, in my mind, opal eye is one of those things. You just have to understand the texture is going to be different from anything you've had before. Opal eye are different. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of it's a lot like when the offshore guys talk about catching tuna, and they've caught all these tuna and they've eaten tuna for years, and then one of them catches an opa.
Oh yeah, opa has the same kind of, yes.
It's that weird silky, tight grained. It's not really tough in my mind. More like it's more cohesive. It's all sticks together.
I think you just nailed it. It's a tight grain, whereas others, it's like a wide. It just kind of, when you chew it, you're chewing through layers.
Yeah,
and that's a perfect way. Opa is an interesting one. Opa's like, it feels really silky and fatty. Even if there's not like a lot of fat, it's just like, you're like, whoa, what is this texture?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with opa, like opal eye, is, I mean, they grow so fast that you're piling layers of meat, immediately on top of each other. You know what I mean? It's not like a tuna where, at 3 years they're this big and 5 years they're this big. At 3 years they're that big.
Right.
So really, when you're really talking about it, and I mean, it's even true. I think it's especially true for yellowtail, actually. Yeah. So like, that 24 to 28 inch fork grade yellowtail has a much tighter grain to the meat. The meat is packed much closer together than it is on a 40. You have a great big flake that comes off in big chunks.
Right.
I prefer a tighter grained meat personally. Whether it's chicken or whether it's
catfish too.
Yeah, catfish, pheasant, whatever. I prefer a tight grained meat. I prefer it. So the fish that grow faster are more preferable to me.
So you're a mahi fan, right? Those things grow really fast.
They grow super fast, and that's one of the reasons they're used culinary worldwide, from the Black Sea to Indonesia. Dorado, mahi, dolphin fish, pompano dolphin, black dolphin, whichever species you're talking about. They are a food fish worldwide. Why? Because of their growth rate. I think. Mind you, of course, everybody's got an idea, and I'm willing to be wrong. Don't, if you have a better idea, post it in the comments. But
yeah, absolutely. All right, so it's looking like we got the cold water coming to shore. We're good up from Mexico up into Malibu. Do we want to do a little South Coast action, or do we want to talk swells for the divers? Or do you want to?
Well, why don't we go to tides?
Okay, sounds good.
So let's check out some tides. So heading into our weekend here, we have lows just after sundown and just before sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
So in any tide chart, you've got a major and a minor. You have a major low tide and you have a major high tide. You have a minor low tide and a minor high tide. So those are the four things to keep in mind. Sometimes they all sort of match up and they all kind of become the same tide. Usually fishing freaking stinks when the tides are flat.
Mm-hmm.
But let's take Saturday the 5th, and this is for Santa Monica on the municipal pier. Man, Santa Monica Bay has a lot of fish, man. I'm telling you right now. Anyway,
I have seen them, and I know where you're talking about. I dove it. I went from shore, swam out there with a buddy to the submerged jetty, and oh my heavens!
I'm sure you saw one or two. I'm sure you saw one or two fish on that thing.
Anybody who's listening, there are no fish there. Don't ever go out there.
Or if you're in a boat, go there at your own risk. That place is total death from a boat.
Oh, yes.
So keep that in mind, people.
Yes.
At the wrong tide or the wrong time, that place can kill you. Please know your limits and know the limits of your craft. Whether it's a kayak or whether it's a 54-foot sport fisher, please know your limits.
Yes.
But we have some interesting tides right now. And actually we're coming up on kind of in a few days my favorite kind of tides for the sort of fishing I do. So, here over the weekend we have a high in the early morning of 3.5, a low of 3.2 just before sunrise. Holy cow, that's flat. Flatter tides don't produce as well for me as higher tides. I am well backed up in the community about this, but there are exceptions, of course. So heading into Saturday, we have a high at approaching noon of around 5 feet. We have a low of 7 at around 7 in the evening at 0.1.
That's a big delta.
Keep in mind, this is almost, you're talking 2.5, almost 3 hours after sundown. So sunset is at 7:45, low is at 7:18. In my mind, this is a shark tide. This is what you're looking for if you're going for sharks. Now, I don't know how the California lockdown between 10 and 5 a.m. really works. I don't know. But anyway, if I was going to try for sharks during winter, this would be the tide I'd work on right here.
So you like for a shark tide a high to low at dusk, or is it just a tide change at dusk?
It's the amount of tide that's being covered and that incoming tide. And I prefer an incoming tide. Let me be clear about this. Some areas really produce with lower tides. The spots I fish produce with a little bit higher tides. So you build up the body of chum in front of you. To me, chum is a lot of things. It's old hot dog buns. It's a sandwich your kid didn't eat. It's leftover burritos from the taco shop that got left out on the counter, whatever it is. But you have to mix it with whatever hook bait you're using, whether it's smelt or salema or mackerel. Obviously, the bloodier, the oilier mackerel, mullet, jack mackerel, salema, And then, it kind of goes downhill from there, but yellowfin croaker is good. Surf perch is good. There's lots and lots of good shark baits, but you have to mix that in with your chum.
Right.
So you need to create an amino profile in the water, and then the sharks will taste those aminos and they will come into your chum for a shore fisherman. From a boat, it's a little different. We can get into that if you get some comments talking about fishing sharks from a boat. We can start talking about fishing sharks from a boat, but we'll keep it simple for now, and we'll talk about doing it from the shore.
If you guys want to hear about sharks from a boat, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, just hit us up. It's really no big deal. We're kind of just wrapping here a little bit, a little jam session. But if you guys want to know about catching sharks from the boats, it's a whole lot different. Winter versus summer, your sharks are totally different. But anyway, so these are what I call shark tides. You have incoming tides after sundown.
Yep.
The critical thing about this is it's going to pull your chum out and distribute it onto whatever reefs or rocks or cuts are in front of you as the tide fills in. So you're concentrating those sharks in one spot, you're casting into that spot. As I mentioned on Roman Castro's stream the other day, there's a safety aspect to this. And especially for you divers that are listening now, listen up, morons. Taking 60 seconds out of your day can save your life. So the short form is this. If you see people fishing, regardless of what they're fishing for, regardless of what you see, walk up and talk to them before you get in the water to go dive for lobsters or octopus or whatever at night. Please, go talk to them. Because if they're chumming, and they're chumming hard, and they're trying to get sharks in as close to shore as they can, your life is at risk. Until the temperature of our local water gets well under 60, there's a possibility of duskies, there's a possibility of silkies, there's a possibility of great whites anytime, as well as, you're talking gill sharks and all kinds of other stuff. So please, 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 take the few seconds it takes to go and talk to the fishermen on shore, see what they're doing, and see if they're chumming for sharks. If you see great big reels attached to really heavy rods, they've probably been chumming that water. This happened to me the other day. There was not one diver in sight anywhere. We started throwing chum in the water. Within 20 minutes of us throwing 5 or 6, 7 pounds of carcasses in the water, I swear we had 2 different sets of divers swim right through the middle of our chum line, right through the middle of a trough, where we were chumming hard, trying to get the sharks in. I stopped as soon as I saw the guys get in the water. I tried to wave them down. I tried to tell the one guy that sort of responded to go around or maybe not be there. None of them listened. If I'd have hooked a big shark on heavy gear and it had drowned a couple dudes, or if I'd have gotten somebody munched on, I would never forgive myself. Never.
I think a lot of us just don't even consider that. I personally didn't even really consider that until I went out shark fishing with you that one time, and we saw those guys going for lobster really close to our chum line. So, yeah, that's actually a big deal to think about now.
So please, I beg you guys, please be careful, and especially you spearos or divers that are, with John. Please, 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 just take that 30, 45, 60, 90 seconds to look around as you're getting in the water. If you see guys fishing and especially if it's like a big cut in front of the guys fishing, because that'll focus sharks in front of them. Mm-hmm. Certain spots in La Jolla and PV. And, I don't know about the MLPA stuff, but South Orange County has some big cuts that lead to deep water. If you're diving on those, you might really look around for a minute. Just take that minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to look around and talk to the guys if you see them out there fishing, and especially if they're fishing with big poles. 90% chance it's shark fishermen.
And you might even make a friend.
You never know. You might meet the coach if you're in the right spot.
Well, let's look at these tides real quick. I'm trying to see which ones would probably be best for spearfishing. It's probably well, I like low to high. That's kind of the one I like to do it. I'm trying to see where.
Then you're probably looking at midday next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sunday would be good between like 8 and 11 a.m. Then Monday would be, yeah, everything's gonna be like mid-afternoon or like midday for sure. I don't like to go past like a week, so it's like I just look at till next Thursday. So I'd probably try and go in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean Thursday's tides, actually, for what I do, Wednesday and Thursday's tides would be super good, as long as it's flat enough.
Yeah,
that'd be my first real shot over this winter of getting any sort of real quality opaleye, like opaleye over 2 pounds. My first shot might be Tuesday and Wednesday.
What do you like to do?
Maybe Thursday.
Layers wise. So it's like we've seen water temp, we've seen tides. I like to do those too. Then I like to look at like wind, and a few other things. What else do you consider?
All right, so this is from NOAA. This is your tax dollars at work, which well spent, in my opinion. Of course, opinions vary, but this will tell you, if you go to the NOAA, they actually have a clickable weather map. It's pretty freaking cool that you can click and it'll give you like a 1 nautical mile forecast area. So, let's say you were diving off the Santa Monica jetties, for example. I don't remember exactly where I centered this. Oh, no, this is a little north. This is kind of closer to the pier. Don't tell anyone, but there are some really good areas to look at from the pier down to that standing jetty.
There's nothing there, guys. Don't go there.
It's a real secret. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Don't you dare look at Google Maps and look at the underwater terrestrial map.
Yeah, man, the bathymetry is amazing. But anyways, so we're looking at, let's say you wanted to go out tomorrow and you were trying to do some diving, or you were going out in the kayak, or you're going to go do some near shore. So Friday, north-northeast wind, 5 to 15, becoming west-northwest in the afternoon. That's a huge variation.
Yeah.
Mixed swell, west 1 to 2 at 17, which is no problem. And south, 1 at 12. Wind waves 1 to 2. So if you were heading out in a kayak, this would be near perfect conditions for the interior areas of the Santa Monica bight. Santa Monica Bay is an amazing place. It's an amazing fishery. My wife's biggest halibut came from there. I've caught numerous huge lings out of there, huge sand bass. I was on my buddy's boat a few years back, and we were fishing the standing jetty at Santa Monica, and we absolutely just got roped by huge sand bass on 50 pounds. So there's a few fish in there.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, who knew, right? It's a real mystery. I mean, there's no fish in there. Don't go look around. Don't go poke. Don't fish there. Just don't bother. Fish anywhere but there. Sorry, John. I didn't mean to do that to you.
It's all good. There's plenty of fish in there for us to go find.
So when I'm looking at conditions, I'm looking above the water. John, I know you're looking a little bit more below the water sometimes, but really what you're looking at is swell over period. So when it says west swell 2 feet at 18 seconds, you're looking at making sure that your swell height in your period are at least a factor of 2. 3 is better. 4 is even nicer. 5 is even better than that. So you're looking, and keep in mind, wind here in SoCal is king. Wind can produce all kinds of wind chop. It can put all sorts of wrenches into the works. Wind can be an unpredictable ally or absolutely devastate your whole fishing session. So you kind of got to keep the wind in mind no matter what you do.
What's your upper
Actually,
limit?
I mean, really, John, it looks better up by you than it does down here right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I was thinking 5 to 10 is like nothing. So that's great.
Yeah. Like I said, do you know how that translates to visibility?
Ooh, I've had people tell me, depending on the spot, like they like certain directions, you know, and as long as it's not super crazy. But I thought tide is the biggest factor when it comes to visibility. So it's like the best visibility is going to be from the low to high because you're getting the ocean water kind of pushing the sand back. And I've kind of seen this too, where I've gone out where it's going high to low, and you just start to see the plumes of the sand kind of just kick up. That's and you know then there's like the chlorophyll or the actual algae content of the water. So
the chloro chart. That's something I didn't
chart.
cover when I had temp break open, but we could, if you remind me later, we can cover that. Or you know what, if you guys want to see some chloro content, we can link it up. It's no problem.
Yeah. So for that, just if they go do their own research, what are they looking for?
Well, it depends on what your objective is. If you're out there looking for lines in the water, let's say you were hunting yellowtail, free swimming yellowtail. Well, a chloro line might concentrate those yellowtail. You know, you might look for that dark green water meeting the really clean water. On the other hand, they behave a lot like largemouth. I mean, let's face it, largemouth bass is the quintessential predator, right? So we can pretty much look at them and understand other predators. A lot of times, the largemouths hang on the dark side of the water. They've got a really big lateral line. They have good eyesight. They have a huge mouth. They can dart out and grab stuff on the other side. So if there's a color line somewhere, those fish will be cruising in the color and looking out into the clear water for their opportunity to ambush. It's a super lazy way to hunt. It's very energy conservative, and that's one of the first laws of nature.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very efficient. All right. Okay, so what else do we have? You want to do NorCal?
Let's look at Central Cal. Well, really, this is kind of NorCal, but
yeah, this covers
but
everything
really,
else. California, we love you. Everybody, it's all inclusive.
I'm not really a NorCal guy, and I'm not that expert at it, but I fished CenCal for many years from the kayak. And this temp break right here, this is on Fish Track, courtesy of Fish Track, by the way. Fish Track shows your breaks out here. And really, this isn't bad. You're looking at 52 to 55 degree water right here. Obviously, darker is cooler, lighter is warmer. But what I'm really noticing is we have some really cool water laying up against the coast. You know, as you head down here, you know, Pismo south of here a little bit. But there's Monterey Bay. And I mean, I can only imagine that the short fishing up here is absolutely fantastic right now for rockfish, for the bigger grade surf perch. And, I mean, I'm hesitant to offer an opinion about greenling because I'm not an expert, but they're probably coming soon too. I think that you definitely getting some really nice fish off their mixed rock and cliff from shore right now in CenCal right now.
Well, you heard them, guys. Get out there.
And if any of you have insights, add it to the comments. I haven't been up in Central California in a couple years, but by all means, I mean, if you have anything to add or anything you want me to look at, just let us know. Let us know what your interests are, and we'll try to cater it as much as we can.
Yeah. 54. That's some people would be putting on their between 5 and 7 mil wetsuit. I had a lot of guys give me crap because I finally bought a 5 mil after multiple seasons in the winter, and my 3 mil is basically a 2 mil with holes in it. So I'm gonna be excited not to be shivering soon. It's gonna be great.
Better than my 5 mil. It's got a bunch of holes ripped in my right shoulder where I came up under a dock in Mission Bay and ripped the crap out of it.
Oh man, I don't know if I could ever buy a 7 mil though. Like I hear it's too constricting.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to swim in a 7 mil.
If I got a 7 mil, I'd definitely get one of those like Polo Sub custom ones or something. Okay,
yeah.
So we got
Mr. Wealthy guy. Okay, all right.
Well, you know, I wish. I wish. Do we want to go through fish counts? Do we want to kind of see what people have been bringing in?
Well, I have 22nd Street here.
Okay, yeah, let's take a look.
Let me close some of this crap. Yeah, good Lord. Here we go. Okay. So this is a half day. I wish I had a little backlog here. This kind of gives you an idea of what the boats out of 22nd Street are fishing for right now. Really, fishing looks pretty good for those guys. 21 anglers, 96 whitefish, 97 rockfish with the ling, a few sheephead, and some sculpin mixed in. That's a nice half day right there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, if you're going on there and you're catching 7, 8 fish on a half day that you can keep and bring home, you're doing pretty freaking good. So, this cooler water is definitely a lot nicer to the LA landings than it is to Oceanside or San Diego. Dana's probably in between. Newport's probably in between, but this colder water fishing is definitely turning on right now, and I cannot fault these guys for fishing some really good eating bottom fish. Some of them fight pretty good in the case of sheephead and lingcod. Even whitefish fight pretty hard if they're big enough. So can't fault these guys for fishing the bottom fish, especially. I mean, we're into December now, so can't fault these guys for targeting what's available. Not in the least bit.
I'm getting antsy. Next week, I'm going for the overnight to San Nicolas again.
Man, you lucky son of a.
I need some big rockfish, and I need to catch a ling, to be honest. I haven't caught one of those in ages.
Put a filleted carcass on bottom if you want lings. That's my best advice to you.
So you're saying I should catch one of the smaller rockfish, just take the fillets right off, hook it right through the lips and through the nose, and then just drop it down, or put it on a diamond jig?
You can put it on a diamond jig. You can put it on a big lead head. The important thing is you get it down near bottom. If any big mackerel are caught and they start cutting the fillets off, say, give me the carcass. Okay. Put the carcass on bottom. It's absolutely deadly.
Really?
Other great baits for lingcod include like any sort of flatfish you catch. If you catch any sand dabs that are too small to fillet, or you don't want to pan fry one that small, cut it in half and put it on a big lead head and put it on bottom, or a 3-way rig, or whatever you want. Spider hitch rig's good too.
Okay, so the rig really doesn't matter as long as it's right next to the bottom.
As long as you can get it within a few inches of bottom, the rig's not nearly as important as what's on the end.
Cool. All right.
You can put a hoochie on there, a little squid skirt, if you want to. That's fine too. I mean, the main thing is you get a big piece of bait on bottom that has lots and lots of flesh exposed. That's your best bet for lingcod, in my opinion. I'm sure there's lots of people that have better ideas. If you have better ideas, put them in the comments, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I know I know a lot of the guys that went on the last trip, they caught a lot on those Mag 12. It's kind of like a lead head with like an over molded with the octopusy kind of things at the end. But I'm a big fan of use the real stuff when you have options.
Well, yeah, of course. And I mean, and there's nothing wrong with pinning half a sand dab on a big lead head with a skirt on it, or a big plastic, or I mean, whatever you got. It doesn't matter. But
Let's get it down there.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about a big piece of well-cut strip bait on bottom bouncing along. Absolutely deadly for lings. And I mean, the diamond jig's a great way to go, especially if you have a great big single hook on the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely deadly, like the assault jig or some of these other jigs that are coming out. Absolutely deadly tool for lingcod fish in particular.
How come you like the single hook over the treble?
It allows you to hook especially if you're using bait on there. Mm-hmm. It allows you to hook the bait on much more securely.
Gotcha.
Instead of just having a little treble hook through a corner of something, it allows you to have a big meaty hook right through the middle of the thing.
Makes sense.
Not as big of a deal if you're fishing rockfish with little tiny strip bait. But, if you're going to pin half of a 12-inch sand dab on, you're just going to split it down the middle. That big hook will help you keep that bait on there. And, of course, the bigger reds, giant boccaccios and stuff will eat those too. But
I just can't wait to be on the boat.
Can't blame you, man. It's a good boat. It's a good run. Just beautiful. And I mean, and Nick's one of the most amazing places on earth to fish, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that you can get to from civilization. I mean, the Christmas Islands is nice, but if you're talking about driving somewhere and then getting on a boat, Nick and Barbara are about your best destinations possible.
Do you know if any guys spear that place?
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
I'm very sure they do, and I'm very sure they keep very quiet about it when they do.
Sure. Yeah, I can imagine.
That one big beach. I don't even want to describe what part of Nick it's on, but there's one big beach that produces huge halibut. I'm sure somebody out there spears that thing. When they do, they probably get some ridiculous halibut. I'm sure, 100% sure.
Well, if anybody wants to do a camping trip out on St. Nicholas Island, I would love to hop on board.
You're telling me, man. But yeah, there are some absolutely asinine halibut at Nick, for sure.
Perfect. So what else should we cover on this inaugural pilot episode?
Well, we touched on SenCal earlier a little bit, Central California. Why don't we check on the wave height stuff here? They got some big waves coming in. Man, look at this.
Oh, wow.
7, 8, 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 9. Straight up through tomorrow. That's insanity.
Get the surfboard out. Get the surfboard out.
Yeah, this is from Surfline. But I mean, if you looked at this morning, that's some of the best surfers fishing, and totally arguable. There's some better beaches according to who you ask, but one of the big beaches for surfers fishing is Pismo. Heading into tomorrow, oh man, I would not be fishing that. That's get a surfboard. That's get your pitchfork out, get some clams or something during the low tides. Man, that is just brutal. 8, 9 feet. No wind though, at least.
Yeah, that's gonna
be. You can see your tide right after dark is bottoming out right here, just like we were talking about earlier. Man, if you were gonna go get your clam pitchfork, you're gonna get pitchfork out, dig some clams. This period right here be hard to beat for sure.
Yep. I haven't done that yet. I need to go buy a pitchfork.
I got one here at the house. You're welcome to it. Anytime.
How are the Pismos down in San Diego? Or are they
freaking giant? Yeah. Nobody bothers them down here hardly.
Okay, well, we'll have to put that on the list of things to do.
Well, only eat them during winter, people. Not worth.
Are they the bivalve toxicity thing?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Only eat them. They always say only eat them in the months ending in R, but I think you're good through March. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Perfect.
But yeah, we got some really good tides coming up for Pismo hunting here in SoCal and San Diego too. Touched on this a little bit with the RCV thing I did the other day, but yeah, I don't really go for the clams too often, to be honest. I mean, they're cool and they're good bait. And I did used to have an ex-girlfriend, don't tell my wife, that loved those things. But otherwise in my life, I haven't really found that much of a use for Pismos personally. Not that they aren't tasty, not that they aren't juicy, but they're just not my gig. So, anyway.
You guys, this is coming from the guy who won't eat lobster or shrimp because they're bait.
Hey, lobster heads make good bait, all right? I assure you it's true.
Oh, funny.
Hey, look, I never claimed to be popular, okay, John?
I'm just saying, he's leaving a lot of lobsters for us, so that's great. I'm down.
Yeah, there's plenty of lobster out there. There's zero shortage of lobster. Don't let the DFG and the antis fool you. There's a crap load of lobster. I can't get away from them no matter what I do. If I throw chum and start fishing over it, as soon as it gets dark, the lobsters come out and make my life an absolute misery. So please take as many as you like.
Yeah, but I would say those are always the throwaways, right? I think it's sad when all the big ones I've seen are always in the dang commercial traps. Save some of those for us divers.
Well, I'll tell you right now, last year I caught at least 2 or 3 over 5 pounds.
Oh, wow. From wow. Okay. That's big.
Yeah.
It's good size.
I've caught at least 2 or 3 over 5 pounds, and I probably caught 20 or 30 this year that I thought were legal. So I really don't think there's a shortage. I realize it's not. I realize that it's not very sporting to dive over chum. I get that. I get it. You guys have your rules or whatever, or it's not this and that. But I have this feeling if guys chummed real hard over an area and then dove it, things would be very, very different if I had to make a guess.
No, I agree with you. I like to go and pick up the purple sea urchins and just ravage as many with my knife as possible. And it's insane if the current is relatively chill, how fast you'll have a population of fish around you. And you're just like, oh, this stuff works.
Oh yeah, chum.
Fish like it.
I'm telling you right now, if every diver bought 2 loaves of bread and a gallon of cod liver oil and then just mix it with whatever leftovers they had from spearing or whatever it was, whether it was sheep head carcasses or opal eyes or calico chunks or whatever, and they spread that over a big old reef, every lobster in that whole freaking place will come out and you will find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lobsters you never would have seen in a million years.
I thought you were saying that
that's what I think.
I thought that would just bring all the duskies and then we're all dead. So why?
Well, I mean, maybe, but risk and reward, right? I mean, if you're expecting it and you're in some really shallow reef area, that's one thing. If you're on some big deep cut that leads onto 1,000 feet, I don't know that I'd recommend that.
No, that makes sense.
I could be wrong, but chumming into a really deep cut that leads out onto one of the deepest areas in all of Southern California, probably not real smart if you were planning on diving there.
All right, so it's looking pretty good for the divers. It's looking really great for the inshore and surf fishermen. And you said that even the 1 to overnight boats, 2-3 day, whatever, would do pretty well for the offshore stuff, right? Or is that a good synopsis of what we talked about, or what am I missing?
They seem to be doing well despite, I'm sure a lot of the yellowtail that you're seeing in those 1.5 to 3.5 day counts are pretty small, but I mean, then again, they're still on yellowfin. They're still on some bluefin. Depends on where they're fishing. I mean, it all depends on what you want and what you're after. Uh, of course, wintertime's the time for big fish here in SoCal. So if you're not after a 15-pound yellowfin and you want that 350-pound bluefin, now's the time to target them on those longer range boats. A 520 something pound bluefin was taken the week before last.
Yep.
So
that's a super cow. If there's a definition, holy moly.
That's a super cow plus some.
Yeah, plus a cow.
I mean, that's an insane catch, and it was done by a private boater on a frozen flying fish, if I remember right,
Really?
under a kite.
Okay.
It was like 526 or 524 or something like that.
That's
a
so
500-pound bluefin was taken off Southern California in U.S. waters by a private boater under a kite.
What is that, about 250, 300 pounds of meat?
I would say at least 250 for sure, depending on how they cut it and what they utilized. I mean, the only part of them,
I heard they sold it to like a sushi chef here in like LA or something.
They might have. I have no idea what happened to the fish. I just saw a couple of posts about it, and I saw a picture of the fish. The fish is absolutely asinine. It's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I don't have an Instagram account or anything. People forwarded me pictures, so I can't really show them here. But
if you guys have a picture, let us see it in the comments if you want to share it. I haven't seen the picture of it. I just heard the rumors.
Yeah, go on ahead, link to the Instagram post or whatever. That would be awesome. We'd love to check it out. I received all my stuff secondhand, so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But absolutely insane that there's a 500-pound bluefin caught off SoCal in late November is absolutely nuts.
I'm just imagining spearing that fish. That would be Terry Moss level epicness. One day.
I think it'd be more than that, dude. But anyways, that's a once in a lifetime fish for anyone. I don't care who you are. That's a once in a lifetime, no matter how it goes.
Did you see what they caught it on, like gear wise, or not bait but gear?
It looked like, I mean, just from the glance I got, it looked like really big pin international, probably with 120 or 150 pound on it, if I had to guess.
They were going for cows.
They were going for cows, and they wanted to rope them quick. You could tell the rods were real short, the reels were real big.
Yeah.
These guys knew had at least some idea what was going on, and they used gear beefy enough to land something that big. And a side note, there's been a couple of swordfish caught off SoCal this week.
There's been a lot, and they're keeping a really hush hush, right?
Yeah, they're trying to keep quiet, but it's not really working out for them. So we'll see how long it takes for this bite to get figured out. Obviously, the big bluefin got figured out. Guys were really hush hush about it for a couple of years. Eventually, it broke open, and now there's a lot of people on the bite. The swordfish, it's going to be the same kind of thing. Eventually, in the next year or two, people are going to figure out that we do have swordfish here in SoCal, which I've said for a long time. And they are catchable, of course. Swordfish feed all the time. Sometimes they feed during the day, sometimes at night, but eventually the bite will get figured out, and, well, that'll be history too, and the race will be on. But
I thought they were doing huge Catalina, like, yearly swordfish tournaments for decades. Isn't that the whole thing?
Yes, but not like this.
Oh, this is different? Okay.
This is different.
When's the last time you cut up a swordfish?
Last time I cut a swordfish was probably 2006.
Okay.
We had the long knives out. It was probably 500 or 600 pounds, if I remember right. And it wasn't local. It was to the south. But, yeah, we caught quite a few. And we hauled the long knives out and handled it. But It's been a while. Been a while since I've taken a knife to a sword. Been a while since I've taken a knife to an opa, and we know they're here year round.
Oh man, I want to catch an opus so bad. They just look
Dude,
so beautiful.
even during the winter, the half day boats catch a couple a year.
Really? Do you know what they
Yeah.
catch them on?
Usually it's sardine baits drifted on the bottom. If you want to talk with me about targeting opa, I have some ideas about that, but I don't know how much we should say here. You
No,
know what I mean?
we'll keep that off. We'll show the pictures.
Show the footage. Show the footage.
We got to test it out. You know, we got to do the research first, guys. We don't want to just blow smoke up anybody's butt. So,
well, you know, I'm good at that. So, you know,
98% of the things we say are not factual. So, it's your job to find the 2%. And if you can do it, congratulations.
Yeah. But yes, you know, I mean, even I want to say last year, a half day out of Newport during the winter caught one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just a couple months before, so like late October or something, one of the boats out of LA on a 3/4 day out to one of the islands or something, they caught one. So there's one or two caught every winter in SoCal, but nobody really targets them. And they're sort of a mystery to the anglers here. Although the commercial fishermen in other parts of the world have a much broader understanding of how it works. But
I was going to say, there was a time when COVID was hitting really hard and the tuna boats didn't have any restaurants to sell to. They were selling tuna and opa just right off the boats to anybody who was willing to pay, like, I think it was like $10 a pound or something.
Yep, $10 a pound right down here in San Diego, and they would deliver to your door at 5 pounds or more.
Exactly. So,
hell of a deal.
I bought a bunch of opa and tuna, delicious. So if I can catch one myself, that would just make me feel a little bit better than having the commercial guys get my food for me. But it is what it is.
Well, they understand a lot more about how they're targetable. The commercial guys have caught them for a long time, but they haven't really been a saleable commodity until the last few years. So good on those guys. Thank goodness that one of the biggest bycatches in the entire Pacific is finally being able to be utilized and sold.
Yeah.
They are delicious. Yes, their meat is the same yellow color of pea when it's first caught. It's true. But that does not mean that it's a bad eating fish.
Just means they're high in antioxidants. Whatever marketing spin you have to tell somebody.
And they grow extremely quick, and they're very fecund. It's a super sustainable fishery, as long as too many people don't go out and target them as usual. But, I mean, it's super sustainable. They get to a really nice size. They fight super hard. I'm really surprised there's no local 4 or 6 packs down here in San Diego or up there that I've heard of that are targeting these things. Obviously, swordfish is a different thing, but I'm really surprised that we don't have more guys targeting opa.
Yeah. Well, maybe after this episode, they'll be on the radar.
Good luck. You got to have the customers first here in SoCal. Somebody's got to point the finger and say, I want to do this.
That's true.
Then they start figuring it out.
So is there anything on the forums that were cool, that were worth noting for the last week? Is there anybody we should shout out?
Man, B8DHOOK Jason on the SD Fish forums. He caught an absolute dinosaur ling. I want to say 28 pounds or something. You look at the pictures and the thing doesn't even look like a real fish. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Was that on the private boaters general saltwater thread?
I believe so. I think it's on the private boaters portion of the saltwater threads that he shows a picture. I mean, this fish is absolutely asinine. It's crazy. You look at it, you're like, that is not a fish from SoCal. Oh, it is. It's not Alaska. It's coming to you now, courtesy of B8DHOOK. Man, what a beast of a fish. Look at this ridiculous lingcod. I mean, you'd think that was an Alaskan lingcod.
Wow. Did he say how big it was pound-wise?
He mentions it in the post. 38 inches and 20 pounds.
Woo.
A 38-inch lingcod. Almost, butted up on the border with Mexico. Holy cow.
That is impressive.
That's incredible. Just an insane fish. Congratulations to him, dude. He's a super fishy dude and puts in the time, but man, what a tank. And I think it was like his buddy that caught it or something, but he had the balls to post the pictures. So good on him, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And
You
that's
know,
what we
it
want
got
to do.
some.
If you guys catch some cool stuff, let us know in the comments so we can share it on the next week's episode.
Yeah, let us know how to find it.
Yeah.
You know, if it's on Instagram or if it's on whatever, let us know how to find it. It'd be awesome.
Wow, that belly is huge.
Yeah, I mean, that is a fat freaking ling. I mean, a ling approaching 40 inches, that is a beast.
And did he mention what he caught it on?
He said it was a jig with a chunk of rebar attached.
Oh, what?
I assume he wired a piece of rebar onto a standard jig to help it sink faster.
Wow. So you can.
He didn't say what kind of jig. He might be keeping it quiet. I don't know.
So that just being said means you can catch fish on anything.
Oh yeah, well back in the day we used rebar jigs all the time.
Really?
Yeah, you take a piece of like 2.5-2-inch structural rebar, and you cut it at like 50, 60 degrees, and you make basically a gigantic cast master out of it. You drill a hole at each end, paint it white, and then put a hook on the one end and put a solid ring on the other and tie your line to it.
Interesting. Okay. Rebar.
It's a pretty interesting process.
I dig it.
Yeah, cast master that weighs a pound.
Yeah.
If you do it right.
Did not even think about that. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try that.
Well, get a big chop saw.
All right. Anything else we want to share with these guys for this first inaugural episode?
Well, you know, I kind of have a slightly special spot, maybe kind of eat the pace special about the Imperial Valley. And,
yeah. Well, how's the IV? We didn't talk any freshwater. So what should those guys know?
Be stealthy. The idiots that hit me up that don't do well out there aren't stealthy. They don't sneak up on the water. They just walk up there. Don't do that. Cast out. Be stealthy. Keep your bait small. Keep your line thin. You know, I typically don't go any heavier than 15-pound mono when I'm out there, no matter what I'm fishing for. And some really good catches are possible.
How is the conditions for it, though? Is it a good time to be out just because it's winter, or?
Wintertime usually is a little slow. Typically, you'll get on the largemouth bass pretty good, you know, just after dawn and just before dusk. And the catfish just before dawn and just after dusk, especially just after dusk when the water still has a little warmth to it. You know, some people that are listening to this might be like, oh, well, you know, the high is 70. Yeah, our low is 36. So we can have a 35, 40, 50 degree change over the course of a day out there during winter and summer too sometimes. But it definitely changes the bite around. But yeah, the carp are going to be biting good. The bass should be biting pretty good dawn and dusk. The catfish probably that first hour or two after dark is going to be magic for them. Drains are going to be a lot more productive than canals because they're warmer, but that's a different story altogether. But yeah, we definitely have some good conditions for the valley. It's not windy. It's not really hot. It's not really cold, although 36 degrees is freaking chilly for sure.
My coldest
35.
nights sleeping have been in the car at the IV. Please do yourself a favor and don't catch hypothermia like I almost did. Bring a blanket. You know, don't be afraid to bring warm clothes. Layer up. That place.
Yeah, you can always layer up if you want.
At 3 a.m.
A hoodie, a jacket, a nice blanket. These are things that can definitely make your stay out there a lot more pleasant for sure.
Absolutely.
Or just being willing to access the blankets and sleeping bags that are already there. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, it's a certain ding dong wasn't willing to go root around and grab one at the proper time, but having it available to you is key.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys. Well, I think that does it for this episode. Thank you, Coach, for giving us the insights for this week. And I hope you guys get out there and catch some fish, go dive. Looks like it's going to be pretty decent for at least a couple of days in the next week or so. And let us know in the comments what else you want to see, and we will add it to the next episode next week. And
Well, if you need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me at WRF TV. You get a hold of me at the MMFC through Roman Castro. You can really get a hold of me on SD Fish. I'm worthless, or the coach on there. If you make a post, I will see it. I'm sort of like a bad odor. You can't get rid of me on there. So you are very welcome to hit me up anytime. And if there's anything I can help you with, feel free to hit me up. I won't really share spots, but I will share strategies. I will tell you what kind of tides or conditions you want to look for. Really, I specialize these days on our local inshore, and especially the inshore panfish, and out in the Imperial Valley for catfish, along with stripers, bass, and miscellaneous panfish like tilapia and the red ears out there. But you're welcome to hit me up. Hit me up anytime. It's no problem.